Is that better? Can you guys hear me now? Okay, I'm gonna wait till you guys can let me know if you hear me. I hope it's working. Can someone let me know? Is it working now? This is what happens when I try to go live on my own and Alex isn't here to help me. I am not good at tech. Okay, I think it connected to yeah, it was connected to my headphones downstairs. Sorry for that, guys. That would be super unhelpful. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Let's start all of that over again. Okay. I also need to record this. So let me just click record really quickly because we this on the podcast after. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Apologies for that false start. I kind of appreciate it though, because I was feeling a bit heavy. So I think I needed a minute of laughing. So of course I would have a tech issue. Of course that would happen. But essentially what I was saying is I am nervous to talk about this. I'm going to be vague for a second, a little bit intentionally, but basically, I've been struggling to talk about this since the beginning of April, but I think it's really important to talk about this in April, especially. April is Autism Awareness Month. It is Celiac Awareness Month. I don't know, there's a lot of awarenesses happening this month, but I wanted to bring up some disability things and personal things that have been happening this month because it's been I've been dealing with a lot of stuff in 2024. I'd really hope this would be like the year of Nina and it'd be chill and exciting and that manifesting only good things would mean only good things. And that's just not how the world works. So before I dive like fully in, I would love it if you guys could pop like a heart in the chat, just a hi. I mean, obviously we've already had a bit of chat happening with me messing up the audio to begin with. But I'm going to dive into some deeply serious topics. I'm going to try and stay as positive as I can. But these are really emotional for me. Life has been a bit hard, so I do want to talk about it because I want to be as honest with y'all as I can be. And we're going to talk very much about business and how things have changed in my business because of it, because a lot has had to shift this year. Now, trigger warning, I am going to talk about mental health. I am going to mention self-harm, but I will be trying to brush past that as quickly as we can because I don't love talking about it. But I do think it's important to mention, and so it will be coming up. But if that's something that you can't handle, I want you to protect your mental health first and foremost. I will not be offended if you guys pop out of this and this is not something that you can handle to listen to. That is 100% okay with me. Please, please, please protect yourself mostly. That is the most important thing to me because you need to take care of you first, and hearing about me is not nearly as important as protecting your peace, okay? So last year, I was pretty open as I was sharing kind of my mental health journey throughout the year, especially when I had my first $100,000 month in June. It was a big deal, but not in the way I think most people thought it would be. So I kind of live tweeted it as it was happening because it was really exciting. I mean, in about a day, I made $50,000 from a sale, or what was like a price increase. And I just started like sharing it on Twitter because it was interesting to me. And like I was traveling alone at the time. I didn't have anyone else to talk to about it. So I thought this was this great thing to talk about. But what I wasn't talking about basically for the beginning of last year was I had a shit year last year. Last year was kind of horrible for me. Theo and I were supposed to move to Europe, and I'm going to talk about that a bit afterwards because I know people wanted to hear about what happened there, but I want to get to the meat of this first. But this is important, I promise. I'm not like trying to ramble, but I think the background matters. And I do want to say I apologize if I'm struggling to look at the camera, but when I find it hard to talk about things, I do struggle to like even make fake eye contact. So apologies that I will maybe be looking around, but I'm clearly like using my hands a bit to stim. So we'll do our best with it. But yeah, so we were supposed to move to Europe. It fell through the night before, which was super frustrating. And it meant that basically the whole trajectory of my year of 2023 changed. And there was a lot of self-discovery in that because I was alone in a car for 6 months with Theo. And luckily, during all that time, he never started talking back to me because I talked to him a lot. I was doing more therapy than I had since, we call it like since the Glasgow period when I was 19 and I moved to Glasgow, and it was the worst period of my life, not because of Glasgow, but because of how I was feeling at the time. And it started to feel like that again last year. So unfortunately, last summer, I did make an attempt on my own life. And in kind of towards the end of late last year, my mom actually had to take me and put me in hospital to try and deal with this when she was out visiting me, helping me move into my new house. That is one of the reasons why I've come back to live with family at the moment, is because um, things got really rough. And I kept waiting for them to get better or get happier. I mean, I felt really ungrateful that I had such a cool situation. I'm doing a job that I absolutely love, and I was hating myself while I did it. I didn't feel worthy of any of you guys being in my sphere. I felt like, who is this idiot like that you guys are listening to? Why would you care? And ultimately just like was really deeply unhappy with myself. I've been in therapy since I was 7, and I kind of kept waiting for it to like fix me, which is not how therapy works. So obviously that didn't happen, but it did mean that like I started trying to figure out what was going wrong, like what wasn't good with me. And that meant that I ended up getting an ADHD diagnosis last year, and that did change a lot of things. And I was very open about getting that diagnosis because it felt like a good diagnosis. But unfortunately, things didn't get better. And so I was trying to change some meds early this year because I started 2024 not wanting to start 2024 and not really wanting to be here still, which is not great. So I sought out a psychiatrist, and within like the first 5 minutes, he was like, oh, well, that wasn't the first 5 minutes. It was actually like 30 minutes into the conversation. But he said, he's like, oh, well, you're like a textbook case of autism, which I didn't expect. And it really threw me for a loop. That was, I think, like the first or second week of February. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but I really noticed how I changed my online presence a lot. I really stepped back for a bit there. I spent most days like lying on my kitchen floor crying with Theo because I felt really broken. And that's not okay. Like, it's not okay that that diagnosis felt that bad for me to some extent, because I don't think it's a bad diagnosis. And I think it's really important to be honest about it. But I felt so scared to talk about it for a long time. I felt, even now, I'm like a bit uncomfortable talking about it, but I always want to be honest about my disabilities and my mental illness because I know a lot of other people have these issues too. And people tell you all the time, like, you can't do these things because you have these things or you are this way. And it's just not true. Like, I built like a business that made over $500,000 Canadian last year. And I did all of that undiagnosed and heavily ADHD. My therapist laughs and calls it like critical ADHD because of how I bounced around so much. I did that as someone with autism, as somebody who has emotional regulation issues, as somebody who, my sister, if she ever watches this, is going to be so mad at me for this because I'm sitting here not in a blazer. I'm sitting here with like my hair in a ponytail, not like done up. I don't wear makeup. I don't do the things that a lot of other people do. You don't have to. And it's so okay to be you. And I tell other people that. And then I got so mad at myself for not feeling that in myself and not feeling okay talking about these things, because if anyone else came up to me and said, oh, I just got diagnosed with autism, number one, I'd be like, how great. Like, congratulations for learning that. Not like having autism, it's not an award, but like getting a diagnosis is so hard. And I recognize I am in a very privileged position to have gotten that diagnosis, even if I 100% did not expect it in that moment. I thought I was getting new anxiety meds. I didn't think I was getting this kind of life-changing diagnosis. And I've been dealing with it ever since. And I've been dealing with what that means for how my brain works, for how my business works, and even like something that also kind of prompted me to talk about this, not just that it's April and it's Autism Awareness Month. I've like, pride has passed me by many times, and I don't make a ton of like Nina's queer banners, which, like, if you didn't know, I am. And I thought it kind of went without saying with the purple hair, but people often tell me they don't realize it. So yes, hi, I'm Nina. I'm queer. I'm disabled. I am so many things. But I didn't, the month didn't necessarily matter, but I did want to talk about it because I do think it's important. And I think it's yeah, it's something that is me and I am my business. So it's a part of how I run my business. And that means that I've also had to like look at my business and change some of the ways that I want to run it, to make sure that it is better for me and that it is something that I can sustain. And realistically, when I looked back at last year, all of the things that I felt didn't work in my business were me trying to do what I saw other people doing and what I saw as quote unquote normal and like the normal path to success. I was trying to mirror these other people who are, to my knowledge, especially the friends that I spoke to, neurotypical. So we have very different ways that our brains run. We have very different ways that we can operate our business. And that means that like my chaos, the way that I run my business, when I get an idea and I just run with it, and I'm going to share one of those at the end of this because it's super cool and you guys all get to participate and it's free to participate as well. I think it's going to be really fun. But yeah, like there's a reason I run my business this way. And sometimes there's a reason why people are like, I want to be in your head. And I'm like, no, you do not. Like it is a nightmare inside my brain. But it is really interesting and different. And I think it's important to claim it for yourself, even if you don't want to share it publicly. I'm not doing this to tell anyone else that you need to tell anyone else about your mental health or about anything. But I really wanted to. And I was really upset that I didn't feel like I could. Like I was worried that I would be judged for talking about this. I'm always a little bit worried about being judged. I make sexual jokes in half of my emails, I think. Like I like to show up as authentically myself as I can. And I'm starting to realize that sometimes that's why people find me off-putting. Um, but yeah, overall, there are some things that I'm changing about the business that I want to do to make it more applicable to me. And so one of those things is that this year I'm leaning into hyperfixations even more than I did last year. So if something excites me, I am going to do it. That means that like I'm trying to kind of chase joy in my business. And of course, I'm still going to do like the things that you have to do to run a business. I'm going to pay my taxes. Those do not bring me joy. If they bring you joy, I don't know what's wrong with you, but that's weird. But I think it is like, it's important to find the things that you love in business. And I will 100% admit, like these Google updates threw me for a freaking loop. And I'm going to do a deeper analysis on them. I've been tracking things and testing things as best I can. Short answer is Google has significantly changed. It's not impossible, but the approach needs to be very different. But equally, a lot of the things I'm doing are shifting. So last year, I kind of avoided working on my main travel blog because I was supposed to move abroad with Theo and it fell through the night before. So that whole site is about living abroad. I now wasn't living abroad. And so I didn't want to work on it. And I think I like got mad at the site. I did some shitty things. Like I did buy links at one point, and I do 100% know that that hurt the site because immediately after the links came in, things started dropping off a cliff. And that was not like at an update time. So yeah, some things went wrong, but equally, there are a lot of things that go right in my business, and the things that tend to go right are when I am just Nina and I do something that I love and is really fun and usually weird or creative. I also find for me, like, I struggle with a lot of social things. Like, I really struggle with getting burnt out on socializing with people. And I noticed this last year as well. It's one of the things I mentioned in like my private jet membership kind of review video, why I closed that. But I feel the burden of other people's expectations and I want to help them immediately. And I know that for you guys, or most of you guys anyway, like if you ask a question, because every time I answer within 5 seconds, everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, how are you here answering this? But for me, I feel like I need to. And so I overdo it all the time. And I'm working really hard this year not to burn myself out on these things. So you will notice, and I mentioned this in my Facebook groups, both for the SEO roadmap and for my public group, please like give me a bit more time to respond. Give me some more space for it. Also with my emails, like I find that I do way better if I am not the first point of contact for y'all. So all my emails go through Alex first and then they come to me. And if it's something where you need Nina, you'll get Nina. It might take a minute or two. It could take a week because like right now Alex is off this week and I'm hiding from my inbox, to be honest. It went from like one to triple digits yesterday in half a day. And then I just panicked and left and went to my grandma. And like my grandma, if you don't know, is the one I talk about all the time with alt text. One of the reason I came back is that she's currently in a nursing home. And so I've been trying to spend as much time as I can with her. So that's another thing I'm doing is like taking time off to do what matters to me and be with the people who matter. And she's the person who matters absolutely most to me in this world. So sometimes like there are gonna be days where things don't get done as quickly, and I'm so okay with it because I'm sitting next to her and she's telling me stories about when I was a kid and like stealing her palichka and demanding that she gets me like chocolate mice and things like that. Or like her father picking mushrooms in Serbia, like just like amazing things that I'd much rather focus on. So yeah, all that is to say, you're going to start seeing some shifts in the business, and a lot of them are going to make it disorganized, I expect, at the beginning. Alex is a brilliant genius, and she is like organizing it as much as she can for me. But there's going to be some like disorganization too. And I think that it's kind of the greatest thing is having a business like this where you can do those things. And I know that like I felt like I wasn't working at all in February or March. And a lot of that was because I was spending every day just like in my bed crying basically with Theo. Theo worked overtime for most of that time. Even now, like I struggle a lot with how I'm dealing with this, with my emotional regulation and things like that. So for me, it's going to be good and bad sometimes. And I think the Google updates, especially like when you're already low, and then even though like I have two sites that are doing completely fine, like nothing has changed, and I will be doing a deep dive on that. But like the two that got hit, even though one of them, especially my main site, like I expected it because I was doing stupid shit with it at the end, like it still really hurt. And it's that sinking pit in your stomach of like, I don't know, when you're already low and you're already mad at yourself or disliking yourself, having that is really, really hard. So I want to say that like if you're having that, I see you, I feel you, I hear you because you're not alone. And even though like my business is not just that one website anymore, it still hit really hard and it hurt. Like it sucks to see your hard work shift and change. And especially when Google has not been the greatest at helping us like understand anything. Not that they really owe it to us, but like feels like they kind of do. I get it. And it's the worst. It just fucking sucks, honestly. So I would 100% recommend like take some time for you as well. It's kind of what I did is I took time away from that and put it into things that mattered to me. Um, yeah, so okay, that's been a lot. There's so much I want to talk about. There's so many things I want to say, but I guess I would just also want to talk about mental health quickly for a minute. And that, like, if you are struggling or you want to get a diagnosis, push for it. And like, and self-diagnosis is totally freaking fine. Since January of 2023, I was 99% sure I have ADHD, which is what they call ADHD and autism. And it is really important to know those things. And you're going to know better than doctors often, to be honest, because you know your body better. And I'm not saying like we're on some vibrating plane or hippie, what I don't know. It's none of that, but it's like you know your brain. And TikTok is the way that like fucking love TikTok. It's the way I found out I have ADHD. It's the way I figured out that I have autism. I'm a very hyper literal person. Um, it's why I often in emails and on socials misunderstand what someone might be saying and then have to go, oh, wait, you meant this way. But because of that, I didn't think I was hyper literal enough to have autism until I saw people on TikTok really talking about the specifics of their experience, talking about how their brain worked with ADHD. I was like, well, I'm not like a 13-year-old boy who needs to run on a treadmill in class, so I can't have that. And then I keep hearing that I'm this textbook case, and I wish I'd known earlier, but I'm kind of glad I didn't in some regard because it's allowed me to yeah, kind of like challenge myself. And I do wonder if maybe knowing they talk about having a skill regression once you know. And I feel like my skills are so far leveled at this point that even if I have a skill regression, it wouldn't be to zero, maybe. I don't know. It's a whole thing. That's a whole other like situation. Um, but yeah, like so in some ways I'm glad I didn't know. In other ways, I'm really mad that everyone's like it was so clear, but no one thought to tell me or work with me on it. And so I'm trying to like figure out what a lot of these things are and like the ways that I handle society and handle things and give myself more grace for it. So I used to call myself lazy a lot. I still like the word lazy. I'm still going to use it, but sometimes it's not laziness. It's that I'm overstimulated and I need to like get away from other people. And I need to do what's right for me. And this is something that I really hate with business books, especially business books by neurotypicals. Like it's why I love Get Rich Lucky Bitch because Denise Duffield Thomas also has ADHD and she talks about it very regularly. But like the bros that are like work 20 hours and like only eat creatine or whatever. Like, I can't do that. That's never going to happen. Even the ones that are like, be on calls all day. Like, no, like, I cannot do that. I have one day a week that I do calls regularly, and that is my day, and that is it. And even that, I have a limit to the number of calls I'm going to do. Sorry, my dad has a phone, and I don't actually know where it is. Staying at his house right now. So I would love to stop that ringing noise, but I have yet to find where this phone is hidden in the house. So apologies for that. I think it's more annoying than Theo barking. But yeah, where was I? So yeah, get the diagnosis, do what you can to understand your brain better. And it's so okay for you to not be okay. Sometimes you just need to work through it. Other times you do need to stop and just deal with it. And that's all right. I'll talk about the Theo travel stuff in a second, but some of y'all probably won't care about that as much. So I'm going to talk about the business stuff now. And then I'll tell some stories of the Theo travel and why Theo's not coming to Europe because that is throw me for a loop and it's quite frustrating. So one sec, let me just share my screen. So first, we're going to talk about Theo's birthday party blowout. Theo is turning 3, and you cannot imagine how happy I am that I have a business where you guys email me and wish my dog a happy birthday. Like, that's so fun. I mean, like 13-year-old Nina would be so proud and so happy, and I'm proud and happy. I know it's not like the most professional thing in the world, but who fucking cares? It is amazing. So Theo turns 3 on Monday, so we are going to be doing a 5-day sale. Now, initially, I was just going to do my own offers, but I have so many friends who love Theo, and then I put out kind of a call on social media. So we've got a bunch of offers. Now, those people I have contracted to only share it next week, so I don't mean to be a tease about those ones. I can say we have a really cool Pinterest course. We have a course on Flipboard. We have like an analytics dashboard in Looker Data Studio that's like easy to follow, things like that. We even have like a really cool like travel hacking course. It's kind of, I don't think you can call it that. I think it's like travel points course. I don't remember all the legalities around what you can call credit card kind of things, but a course about that. But the ones that I can share are my offers. Also, can we just take a second to be like, Nina, you are really good at graphic design? Because this is the first time I've ever made any banner that I'm marginally proud of. So these are images from ChatGPT and then Canva for the rest of it. And I was like, oh, you're so motivated when it's a picture of your dog and not pictures of anything else. But if I can move this, there we go. I can share my offers so far so that you guys can prep a bit for what you would like to get. So I'm going to do a She Knows Everything bundle that is going to be all of my offers that I sell like alone because there's legalities when you share things with other people for the price of the SEO roadmap. So that's going to be everything under my SEO section, everything under my AI section. It's going to be 45% off total, I guess, when you factor it all in. Once this is live, you'll be able to click the drop down and see everything that's included. There is going to be a payment plan for that as well. And I've decided that because it's Theo's birthday, Theo doesn't understand payment plans. He has no money. So the payment plan is going to be the exact same price as the main offer because yeah, I think that's fine and fun to do. So those will be up it'll be literally like beginning of day, Monday the 6th till end of day, the 10th, if that's how dates work. I'm pretty sure that's the right day, at like 11:59 EST. So that's going to be the first offer. Then the second offer, Jamie and I have partnered on this Get Paid to Travel, Your Guide to Becoming Travel Media course. And so because it's tied with someone else, I can't include it in my bundle. So we are also offering it for a discount. So it's going to be $175, which is 30% off. And all the details will be up, of course, like when this is live. But that's going to be what the bundle is. Now we have another thing which I need to find. There's the window. The next thing, so many new things launching. In my Facebook, or in actually her Facebook group, Margaret Bourne asked, hey, does anyone know about any travel bundles, like B2C travel bundles? And no one could think of any. So I went deep diving and I couldn't find any. So I was like, I'm just going to launch one because why not? That sounds fun. So in June, we are going to be accepting applications for the Now Boarding bundle. The way the bundle is going to work is because I don't want it to be crazy overwhelming. We're going to have a bunch of different subsections for travel type. So the first launch of it is going to be the Now Boarding bundle, like everything. But you'll be kind of put into a category, and the categories will be decided based on submission. So, like, there's not a strict category yet. But essentially, if you've never participated in a bundle, bundles are meant to grow your email list. So the way that it works is you submit a product. It has to be a paid digital product. One-to-one services don't really work because you might get like 1,000 people, and that's a lot of work to do for that. So it's usually a digital product. There will be two tiers. We're going to have one tier under $100, one tier over $100. The names have not been finalized, so I don't know what they're going to be called yet, but there will be two tiers. And essentially you can submit to either or to both of them. And the whole goal is to grow your email list. So you're going to give your product away for free in exchange for email list subscribers. I thought this would be a really cool thing to do, especially with Google being kind of ridiculous at the moment, so that people are able to get email list subscribers more quickly. There will be some trainings as well for anyone who's accepted on how to actually like turn this into email subscribers that stick around. There will always be unsubscribes with a bundle, but having done like I would like to say at least 2 dozen, but it might be more like 4 dozen at this point because I love a bundle and I've done them for years. That yeah, like I've learned a lot about how to do these well, and so I'm going to talk about how to do that. But essentially, to participate, I want to give you guys a little bit of notice. So if you don't have a digital product yet, you have a month to get it ready. You cannot submit a product that is sold for free on your website. You cannot submit a product that has never been sold on your website. So you got to launch it before applications open in June. And of course, I'll be sharing that on my email list. I'll be sharing that on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. So yeah, you'll get more notice when it happens. But I know a lot of people don't have products yet, so I figured I'd give you a minute to start, which we've been doing in the SEO roadmap. We're doing a 2-month digital product challenge, which you guys can still join if you join the roadmap, where essentially I coach y'all through creating the entire product from like idea. I go over the outline with you, I review the thing, we review the sales page, and we literally launch it at the end of May. And like I review all of those steps for you. And it's been really fun. I've learned about a lot of cool things. So yeah, these are some of like the random fun hyperfixations I've been having lately that I'm really enjoying, and things that I'm having fun working on. So these are, yeah, some things that you guys can join in the business. Okay, I got to go back to where we were. Okay, yeah, so if you just wanted to listen to the business stuff, that's the end of that. I'm now going to talk a bit about service dog travel and a bit more about kind of my experience with my mental health and things like that. Because I do think I hope it's interesting, but I think it's important to talk about because I never saw other people talking about it. And it changed a lot of things for me when I learned it, essentially. So I told a story, or like I kind of alluded to the story a few different times on different podcasts and on my channel of like Theo and I were supposed to move to Europe. And I kind of talked about it when it happened, but a lot of you guys weren't here at that point because things blew up after that last year. So here's the story of what happened with that essentially. So basically, I told myself when my blog was doing well that I was going to like leave my job at a certain point. And at the time, I had a lease in Ottawa until like the end of April 2023. So I was like, cool. At the end of that, Theo and I are either buying a camper van and we're living in a camper van and driving all over North America, or we're going to go to Europe. When I first planned that, I had no money. So like the idea of that started before I even signed the lease. And like April 2022, I still hadn't gotten into media buying. I still had no money. So I was like, who knows what we'll be able to do. And then money started, which was nice. So then I was like, okay, well, we can definitely afford Europe now. So let's do that because I wanted to kind of like get it out of my system. I wanted to move to New Zealand, a whole other thing, but or move back to New Zealand. I have lived there. New Zealand's the best. If you're thinking of somewhere to live in New Zealand. It's the best place. But because of that, I planned this whole thing to move Theo to Europe with me beginning of April. And when you move a service or when you're trying to like travel with a service dog, people always think it's easier than traveling with a normal dog, and that is not true. Service dog travel is harder than normal dog travel, even though like they are allowed on more planes. You have to do exactly the same amount of like paperwork and stuff for their health certificates, but you also need to then jump through a bunch of hoops to prove that they are legitimately a service dog to like 20 different people. So we were supposed to fly to Paris, but Paris was on fire at that point because they had all those strikes over the retirement age being changed, which like fair. Who wants a retirement age to change? Um, so we actually had to change our flight. So we were going to go to Slovenia, but you had to have a stopover in Munich. And the problem is if you have a stopover, you technically need a health certificate for both places. And I didn't have that because no one told me that when I spoke to the airlines. So I had it for Slovenia, which wouldn't have counted in Munich. So we might, and they said, we don't know. You might get turned away in Munich. We're not 100% sure. It depends on like the border agent you get that day. And that didn't feel great. Now, we'd also had a bunch of issues because if you fly and you have a layover and the company changes, you have to like submit the service dog paperwork and the dog paperwork to both airlines if it switches. Even if they're within the same network and even if you only bought the ticket through one airline, you have to submit to both. And most airlines don't love to honor a service dog policy. So we had to like jump through a million hoops. Essentially, Lufthansa was like, we need a whole bunch of documentation that legally is not allowed to be asked for in Canada. So when I asked my service dog team for it, they were like, we don't want to give that to you. And like eventually they did, but it was a whole rigmarole. Even like trying to get a health certificate in Canada, they wouldn't answer the phone for like a month for me trying to like calling to just get an appointment to bring him in to get the health certificate. It was a nightmare. So the whole thing cost like $300 Canadian to get that stuff done, just like the paperwork in Canada. Because in the end, I got it for like research purposes, essentially. But with the flights, they were like, there's a kind of 10% chance Munich lets you go on to Slovenia. And I was not prepared to move my entire life with a 10% chance. So that's why we ended up on the 6 month road trip that we did last year, which was also horrible. I had no plan. While my ADHD hates planning, my autism needs structure, and I had no structure at that point. Our days were like complete nonsense, and trying to like figure out where we were going next sucked. VRBOs are horrible with the service dog and do not recommend. So we stayed in hotels, which was really expensive, and they were in like not the most helpful locations. I didn't know before this, but most national parks, especially in the north of the US, are not dog friendly. And even though Theo's a service dog, if I'm taking him to a national park, I want him to be a dog. And in some of them, like Yellowstone, I understand. There were bears and there were things that Theo would 100% have gotten us eaten. So that was fine. I wasn't going to do it there. But there were many of them where I'm like, this is just a forest with squirrels. Like, come on, it's a park. And in Canada, most of our parks were like, bring the dogs. That's the point. So it's very weird to me. But so anyway, that aside, last year got weird partially because of that, because I went into the year with this struck this year too. I was supposed to live in Victoria until like end of November. That has not happened because I really needed to be around family. I'm trying new meds. I'm not doing well in my head. I kind of need supervision. So we're going to stick with family for a while. Um, but we were supposed to go to Europe. So I'm speaking at Affiliate Gathering on May 10th. I'm talking about zero volume keywords and how things have changed with them and how I'm still using them, but in a different way now with a different structure and kind of different ways of finding them. So I'll be speaking on that May 10th. Which means I need to be in the UK. And then after that, my best friend and I, we did our master's in Oxford together, and I haven't seen her since I had to leave the country because of COVID. So we talk regularly, but I haven't gotten to hang out with her. We're going to go to Italy and like hang on Italian beaches. And I was so excited. I had so much like Theo content planned in my head of like him running on this Italian beach and everything. I had like a beef eater outfit ready for him for York. Yeah, that can't happen now. So essentially, Theo can fly to Heathrow because he's a service dog. It's a nightmare and a half. I figured it out. I got him recertified just in case. I did like so much stuff jumping through hoops. But what I didn't remember at first is that the UK is not in the EU anymore, which like I know, but I kind of forgot. So he would need multiple health certificates. And the way that the UK works is only certain airlines can fly service dogs in. So even though he's a service dog, only certain airlines can handle him. And British Airways is the one we needed to go with. they want to charge you like 5 grand per direction in order to be able to get a refundable ticket, which is like the cost of a private jet. And I should have just done that in the end, it turns out. And I was like not feeling that. So I was like, no, that seems weird. Also, he would need to get multiple tapeworm treatments because of British Airways to fly. They fly to the UK. He needs a tapeworm treatment there. Then I have to go to Bari in Italy. And then from Italy, we need to come home. But British Airways has no direct flights from Italy to get back. So it would be a 17-hour travel day for Theo, which isn't fair to him. Also, he would need another tapeworm treatment because they all stop over in the UK. So, and it's not safe to give a dog tapeworm treatments that often. So I was like, okay, for once, it's not the service dog side of things. The airlines were like ready to let him Heathrow. You can't submit him to Heathrow till British Airways approves him. So I was like, but I spoke to them and they were like, we're like 90% sure he can get in. We just need to like, you need to submit it. So yeah, so he's not coming to Europe. And I'm really sad about it because I was so excited and like he is my service dog. I treat him like he's like a wheelchair. Like, of course, I treat him better than I would treat a wheelchair. He doesn't sit in a closet or something. But the whole point of the trip was to get out of North America for the first time since the pandemic. I've had a lot of travel anxiety. I got diagnosed with celiac after the pandemic, so I've never really traveled with celiac, especially in a country that's not English speaking. Like I went to Mexico, but Mexico's very gluten free, so it was pretty. I felt safe there. So I was really excited for this trip to like kind of challenge myself. But because it's challenging, I really wanted to have him there. And unfortunately, my mobility has been not great recently. I've had to look into getting my first mobility aids, and that's a tough pill to swallow when you're 28 and you like kind of still feel like you should be invincible and should be able to like climb the mountains and do all the things that you can't do anymore. So I've had to like shift life a lot too, as well as business. And that's just meant that like this has been a rough few months of dealing with these things and trying to like show up online and smile and be happy and mask. Even now, like I can tell I'm trying really hard not to mask, but I can tell I'm 100% doing it because it's what I know to do. It's how I can show up on a call and be super happy and do whatever. Log off and then go cry on the floor. Or I've had multiple stomach flus and like done my calls, get off, and then I just like die in the bathroom for a while. Like it's not great, especially when I've been trying new meds and stuff. Like I have a very sensitive stomach, so a lot of not feeling good on calls, and it sucks. But like that's a part of it is you learn to mask so hard that you kind of have to have that persona. And I'm still working on like figuring out how to unravel that a bit and how to be a bit more me. And I don't think it's going to happen in a short while. I also especially think that like with Theo not being with me in the UK, it's going to be very difficult. And so like I'm really excited to go. I'm still going and I feel safe mentally going, but it's just going to be weird not having him and not having like the little guy that I hug at night every night and like getting to hang out with him. And I'm gonna have to do a better job of taking care of me without Theo taking care of me. So I think it's a really good moment for growth to test this. And as my mom says, she like it's like doing recon for when he comes next time, and that I now owe him a trip. So he's gonna have to go to Europe with me next time, and I'll plan it better now that I understand more of these like the requirements for him getting the 8,000 vet visits he's going to need, but pick one country. So maybe it's only 2 vet visits. So yeah, I don't really know how to end this, to be honest. But I am very appreciative of everybody who has showed up and who yeah, let me ramble a little bit about all these things because it's been on my mind for a while, and I really wanted to be authentic and talk about it because I think it is important. And I'm not upset that I have autism. I was upset for a minute, and I think, or well, for a month, not a minute, for like a month and a half or so. But like, it's largely because I didn't expect it. It's largely because it's not something. I don't know. It's something that you hear about talked about in a different way, I think. And I want to put a positive spin on it because it's not bad to have any of these things. Like I have anxiety, I have depression, I have autism, I have ADHD. With the autism comes like a more bipolar response to how I handle like my emotions. I don't have great emotional regulation. So I'm very much an all or nothing person. And these are things that are me. And I've still been able to create this amazing business and have the most fun with it. And it doesn't mean that you are less than or that you can't do things. Like you 100% can. And I do fully also like recognize I am like on the spectrum and that people at different points on all of these spectrums have a different experience, and that is totally fine. Like you have to figure out your own boundaries and work within that. And the really cool thing is getting to design a business that fits with you, because I would not be surviving in a 9 to 5 business right now. I would have been fired like last year twice over minimum if I hadn't like left the law firm. I would be not getting through the days very well if I didn't have a business where like, yes, I distract myself with this. It's the reason I wrote 30 posts this month when like I definitely had no time to like, and I shouldn't have done that like for no reason. But I wanted to, and I'm really letting myself lean into what I'm enjoying and lean away from what I'm not enjoying. And also setting up boundaries to protect myself a bit more from those things that I'm not enjoying. And I'd encourage all of you guys to do the same. Like, obviously, like I said, with the taxes, we still have to do things that we don't love, but we can do them in our own way. And like, I'm not going to be that person who has perfectly straightened brown hair and shows up and like is in a blazer and has like the perfect background and the phone doesn't ring and Theo doesn't bark or something. Like I like being a hot mess to some extent, and I like being able to show up as I am and just focus on the content and the helpfulness. I think those are way more important. And I think that's the same with building your own community and with whatever you're doing to, if you need to pivot, if you don't need to pivot with these updates, just building a business that you are really happy with and proud of, I think is the absolute most important thing. And I just want to thank you guys again for, yeah, for being here all the time, but especially today. And if anyone else is going through stuff like this, whether it's like health concerns, mental health concerns, uh, struggling with your queerness, anything, like I have been there too. And you can get through it 100%. Having a good support system is really key, but also like being okay with yourself and learning to love yourself a bit more. I have hated myself most of my life, even until recently, until I learned, like with the ADHD and autism, that some of the things I do that I thought were me being an asshole are actually just like how I handle things. Like when I'm on a call, I really struggle to like, or talking to somebody in person, I struggle to like look in their eyes. And I often get distracted because I'm telling myself in my head, like, okay, look in their eye. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now look away. Nope, no, now look back. You've been looking away for too long. All of these things. Or like on a Zoom call, I kind of do the same. Like even someone's eyes on a screen, I struggle with maintaining eye contact for long enough. So I just look at myself instead. And then I thought I was like a narcissist or something for only looking at myself, for struggling to like listen to people telling long stories. I'm like, I'm interested, but I'm really struggling to pay attention. And I was like, wow, you're so self-involved. And it's like a lot of these things you wouldn't realize are part of a different brain chemistry, I guess. And so I think it is really, really, really important to understand who you are and whether or not you choose to share that. Like, I don't care. Do not feel like you have to share anything if you don't want to. I have made this choice because I want to and because I want to share things, and I'm shit at keeping a secret. So like I wasn't going to tell you guys about the now boarding bundle until like June, but I when I get excited, I want to talk about it. But equally, like a lot of you guys have talked about how like be sharing my other struggles have really resonated and helped. And I just want to help people. Like at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. So thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday morning. Theo is still passed out from daycare yesterday, so he's probably not going to wake up to say hi. He's also exhausted from dealing with me for months, so he deserves a bit of a break. And if anyone's coming to Affiliate Gathering, I hope to see you there. I'm trying to plan like a meetup for May 12th as well in London. It'll be somewhere downtown, but I'm nailing down a venue this week. So I hope to get to meet you and say hi. And if not, I hope to see you another time. And yeah, I hope everyone just, I don't know, I want to give you guys all a virtual hug. And if you have any ability to go and see a dog who can give you a hug or a kiss, go do that because it's the best way to have a good day. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye. to find the close button now. Where's the window even? Okay.